So, we've roughly assembled the body and the neck. Let's get on with doing the neck over here. Right, let's get rid of last night's prawn crackers. And since the last video, this, despite my best sanding on the belt sander, it wasn't exactly flat, so I've done the trick where you draw on it with a pencil and flatten it against something very flat. In this case, we have sandpaper, which is glued to a board, which I know to be flat enough. Now, I had intended this to be the top. Bang, bang, bang. I had intended this to be the top. However, I wish I'd waited to cut this piece off and move it over until I'd realised that this would probably be better off as the top. That way, most of this line here, the line is from where the stair rods were rounded over. It's not a stair rod, it's a baluster or spindle. Anyway, they are rounded over. I thought I'd leave it on as I was gluing it, just to maintain as much material as possible, because it's not that thick. Anyway, so this line would disappear for the truss rod. I'll carve the top of the headstock off, which means that bit would also disappear. So there's only going to be a tiny bit down the end of the fretboard, which will be covered by the fretboard. So there's a lot more to making a neck than I always imagined. So I'm going to write down first. So, mark out the shape. From the template. Then we need to route the truss rod channel, which will be a lot easier with the straight sides still on. Then we need to cut out the shape of the neck and route it to match the template. Now I need to find a fretboard. I think I've ruled out the idea of using the teak, because I really don't fancy sanding that to shape. And I'd have to try and bodge two bits together. Then we need to work out what my handwriting says. No, we then need to put the truss rod in and then glue our fretboard on. However, previously I've made the fretboard the right size and shape, and then used a template to make that precise, and then glue it on. But it might be easier just to glue it on and then shape it afterwards using the sides of the neck. Then we need to add a radius to the fretboard using the radiusing block that I've lost. That one. Now, I could do this before gluing or after gluing. I think I'm going to do it before. No, I'm going to do it after this time. Then I need to cut the fret slots. Then I need to actually put in the frets. Then I need to thickness the headstock. So, for instance, the wood starts off this thick all the way down. So I need to take off this piece of wood here. Then we need to make the back of the neck shaped. Then we need to shape the back of the neck to give it the curve. Cut the nut slot. Then we need to attach the nut. I won't glue it in straight away, but it needs to be there. And I need to drill the tuner holes, which I still need to do to my template, because the template I copied the hole locations from using a spray can, just spraying through the holes. Yeah, I need to make them in the template. I need to make a hole for the branding. So I dig a hole, put a sticker in, and then fill it with epoxy or glue of some sort. So before I made this list, if you'd asked me how many steps there were, I would not have said the 14, 15-ish that are right here. So I'm glad I wrote them down first. So let's get the outline on so we can then get the truss rod. cut. Right, now we need to mark out the truss rod channel. I'm going to use the template to work out where the nut is, which will help work out where the turny bit goes. So this is where I've made a couple of mistakes before. I've made the fretboard too short because I just assumed the template was right. But if you have a look, okay, that's it. This is a 22 fret neck. This is 20, but anyway, we line it up. What I'm trying to say is that the fretboard material goes on further and swoops down where I've left myself no nut material. So I need to be wary of that. And the second part is drilling this slot here. Now I think I might just keep routing all the way through underneath the nut. And see how that goes in this one. So we want we want the truss rod to go from here to here. Now I need to route out the channel for it. So in my previous two necks, I've used a board which I've attached to the worktop and the guide on the router itself. Go over here. And it has been joked upon that I do just screw things to my worktop. Anyway, but this so I think it's time to make a jig. So another video, and the dog just laid where I want to stand and do the filming. But never mind. While we've got this guy out, I want to try to find a piece of wood that I'm going to process and use as a fretboard. Okay, so we could take some more of the oak and slice bits off and put them side by side. But I kind of might want to keep this nice for something else. The stuff I've used for the body, I really wish I hadn't cut this short because I might be able to use that, but it's an option where I could butt two pieces end by end and maybe join it at the 12th fret or something like that, so you might not notice. And my final option is over there in the pile of reclaimed wood. I better go and find it. Right, so I've pulled apart the wood pile and the dog's moved. Anyway, there's this table, and these skirts on this table here are some sort of hardwood, which would be good to work with. I think it's probably beech, looking at the grain. So yeah. So I'm either going to go for this one along the top here, but I need to make sure that this channel, or whatever you want to call it, doesn't go far enough to spoil it, or I go from a longer section here. I don't know if you need to know this, but there's screw holes I wasn't expecting. I don't know how deep they go, so we're just going to have to find out. I'm going to kind of try and get them as far inside the fretboard as possible, so if they are a problem, then we work with that. I'm also going at a slight angle, but I don't think that's going to be a problem because the grain seems to run in that direction anyway. It's my chin. Took a while to dig out some of the metal parts, but now we're going to the great leveler. So I'm just going to put some tape on to hold it still. I'm going to put bits along it rather than big chunks, just to stop it bowing and moving. Well, that's the theory. So we've got this leveling bit. It's going to go in the router. The router is going to go into my router table, which I will then turn upside down and whoosh whoosh. In case you're all concerned about the flatness of this, before I start using it to flatten things, I used a couple of rulers and then looked along to see if they're level at various distances with each other. And they were. Here we go. Right, so different day, different router. I'm going to start by lowering this to the highest point and then using the fine adjustment to gradually go down, 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 little bit by little bit. That's the plan. You can see how deep I tried to force that little katsu to go, and I went down the middle. So the poor thing broke. Right, so this is now a much more sensible thickness and flat. So yeah, it's not as thin as it needs to be, but I want to sand it on both sides because it's actually varnished on the other side. And then we can get to thinking about making it a fretboard. Right, giving it a quick sand. And an even quicker sand. Let's get this up. I've got this string of LED lights that follows me around. Any garage light recommendations? Right, I'm just going to sand off this varnish side. The fretboard is thickeningist. So let's consult the list to see where we are. Oh, you're up on the tool wall, by the way, because I have no idea where my tripod's gone. So, this might be backwards. So we have marked out the shape. That's old news. We've routed the truss rod channel. And we've identified the fretboard. Pen. So, done that. We've identified the fretboard. We thicknessed it as well, which wasn't on the list. So before we can add it onto the neck, I need to shape the neck, except I'm not going to shape it. Oh no, I had to shape back of the neck earlier. Okay, so we're going to cut the neck out now so we can attach the fretboard. I am puny.